If you haven't heard about Anchor, it is the easiest way to get your podcast started. First of all, let me explain a few things. It's free. Secondly, there's a creation tool that allows you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. Anchor will also distribute your podcast to Spotify, Apple iTunes, and many more. You can also make money from Anchor with minimum listenership. It has everything you need in one place. So please go download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm and get your podcast started today. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Edmo Show. This is going to be our very first episode. We're just going to have an overview of what to expect from this show. So, this show is going to be pretty much a social commentary on everyday life. The things that everybody deals with in their day-to-day life. Sometimes we'll cover relationships, we'll cover finances, we'll cover politics, we'll cover personal development, we'll cover personal issues, we'll cover things that typically pop up in everybody's life. Everybody's story is different. We'll have guests on this show, we'll have my friends on this show, we'll have people who have inspired me. Hopefully we can get to the level, with your help, we can get to the point where we can have other people, other big name podcasters, YouTubers, whoever. The show is open up for the masses because this whole thing is about stories. This is about reaching out to other people. This is about making the world feel a little bit smaller so that way you feel like you have somewhere to go. Like connect with other people on a different level. When it comes to politics, we'll try to bridge that divide and kind of give, an understanding on why certain things happen, why certain people have points of views. Some people care about politics, why some people don't care about politics. We'll cover, why local politics matter. Things that actually impact you. When we talk about relationships, we'll talk about dating. We'll talk about hookup culture. We'll talk about everything. We'll talk about marriage. We'll talk about divorce. We'll talk about whatever. Everything is on the table. Everything's up for grabs, and nothing's going to be held back from you. This show's going to be raw. This show's going to be in your face. This show's going to be. It's just going to give you that not so cookie cutter look in life because everybody's story is different. Even my story. I am a U.S. veteran. I served 4 years in the Marines. I got out. I went through my hardships. I went through my depressions. I've made my comebacks. I've had my ups. I've had my downs. I'm practically a normal person, and that's what this show is about. Everybody's just, like John Legend said, we're just ordinary people just living in this crazy world. So This show is not going to give you, it's not going to be a one-way show. It's not going to be a show only about politics, a show only about relationships. We're going to cover everything. Like I said, we'll have people who've inspired me. We'll have people who have impacted my life. We'll have friends. I'll even have my significant other, on this show. You'll see how we'll talk about the ins and outs of our relationship. I'm pretty sure when we talk, we're not going to hold anything back. We're going to have some of our other friends on here. We'll have some regular personalities on this show, hopefully. This is just going to be a very lighthearted show. It's going to be very comedic. It's going to be very straightforward. It's going to be raw and sometimes, So if you have a delicate palate, I don't know what to tell you because life isn't delicate. So, I just hope that people can enjoy this. We'll talk about some of the conversations that I've had in my life. Protecting people's identities, of course. This is going to be a real show. I hope I can give somebody some advice. I hope I can reach someone who actually needs to be reached. I hope I can be, a kind of beacon for someone else. Maybe I can inspire somebody just like other people have inspired me. I hope you guys really enjoy this. I hope you guys get a lot out of this. And I hope you guys can kind of give back to the show by sharing whatever you find, on the show, through Facebook, through YouTube, whatever. Now that I'm done rambling, let's start off with something nice. Let's start off with something, with this whole COVID thing, this whole coronavirus. I understand, this thing sucks. This thing is, really, terrible. And it's impacting some people differently. Some people in a good way, some people in a not so good way. I myself, I have a regular day job. I still have to work because I'm considered essential personnel. my fiance, she has to work, but luckily she works from home, so that's nice. But it's getting crazy. We I remember the other day we went out just to look for toilet paper, and the whole time, my fiance's telling me it's not that bad. It's not that bad. People are just overreacting. But now, I don't know. Things are looking pretty bad. Things are looking. People are just losing their minds, and I get it. It is scary. We have a virus that's hyper contagious, but on the grand scheme of things, it's not really killing people the way the media is making it sound. It seems like the media is more so scaring people than what's actually going on. But at the same time, it's like how much can we trust it? Like in my neighborhood, people are acting like it's summer vacation, like Rona's not out here running in the streets. Businesses are shut down for the most part. There's still tourists walking around. There's still people jogging with their dogs. Media is telling us one thing, but in actuality, in real life, it's something completely different. I've seen some people that are really scared. I've seen some people who just don't care. And then you have some people like me who are in the middle. It's really tough to kind of get a grasp on this thing because we don't know how this thing is going to impact or affect anybody. All the time I see stories, especially on Facebook of all places. I find stories of how the coronavirus is not that bad in China, but how much can we really trust it? How much can we really trust that news article? How can we trust really any information nowadays on especially social media, but regular media? Us as regular people, our agenda is just to go day by day, make ends meet, have fun, live, take care of your friends, take care of your family, little ones if you got it. It's a hodgepodge. Now, in my personal beliefs, I think, on some degree, this is very serious. It's hyper contagious. It's affecting people differently. We are finding some people that are testing positive, but who don't have any symptoms. Who feel fine, and all they need to do is quarantine themselves. We have people that are positive that are severely sick. One of the things that I've been noticing is that I've been hearing is that how it's affecting people with, affecting the elderly, affecting the, children, affecting people with ailments, pre-existing conditions. It's kind of like, while you can get it and you can be fine, you can pass it on to someone else and it can unfortunately severely cripple their life. I'm also seeing how people are like really losing their minds being at home, It's completely like it's insane, it's something like we haven't really dealt with. And I've been hearing people talking about swine flu, the H1N1. I was alive during that time. Honestly, I don't recall it ever being this bad. Now, I could be wrong. I could be completely wrong. I just don't recall it. I don't recall, this pandemic. I don't even recall the swine flu getting to a pandemic where it's crippling nations. On the economic front, we have politicians emptying out their investments. Now, is it because they are scared? Is it because they're trying to make more money? Are they trying to capitalize off of this thing? I don't know. I'm not some insider. I'm not some trader. I couldn't begin to tell you. But on the surface, it looks bad. That you have these politicians out here cashing out on a catastrophe. From my understanding of investments in stocks and trading, which I'm an amateur trader. But just from my understanding, it seems like if you leave your money right now, we'll bounce back eventually. So you'll be fine. But on the other hand, if you cash out now, because everything's so cheap, you could probably buy more than what you had before at a lower rate. So it's honestly a toss up. So I don't know, but it's ridiculous. Now, me personally, being an amateur investor, I've definitely been buying some stocks. I've definitely been buying precious metals like gold and silver, which I advise everybody to do. like on an economic front, we're seeing how these nations are crippling. We're seeing how China is crippling, and people are talking about whether if China can come back, whether, America should go back to creating our own products, creating our own materials. Of course, people say, oh, well, you can get it cheaper in China. The labor's cheaper, the materials are cheaper, they're abundant. To me, I feel like this whole coronavirus, I feel like it's a double-edged sword, blessing and a curse. On one front, we have this curse, like we have people who are tragically being harmed by this virus. We have people who are losing their jobs, people who may end up losing their businesses. I have a couple friends who are business owners, and they are not too happy with this. But on the other front, we have people who are really capitalizing in a positive way, socially. I've seen more people actually helping other people. I've seen more people, volunteer, who probably never volunteered before, who've done, good acts of kindness just for the sake of it, because it's another person in need, not for some selfish gain. This coronavirus is going to be a reset. I feel like it's going to be a reset to everybody, because in one way that it's a blessing, America has become too dependent on China. We've become too dependent on technically our goods, because without us, what would China really be? Without America, one of the world's greatest exporters of ideas, where would they be? People say, oh, well, we owe China a lot of money, but without us, they wouldn't have money to begin with. So we have up and coming countries. We have, countries like India, we have countries like South Korea, we have all these other countries that are trying to come up long before this. I'm not saying that they're trying to come up because of the coronavirus, but they've been trying for a long time. And maybe this is the break that they need. Maybe this is the break that will put India on the map as far as exporting. Maybe this is, from my understanding, South Korea has been definitely growing as far as technology. Maybe this is the break that they all need. Get China out the way. But it's definitely going to be the break that America needs. When they lift this shelter in place, this whole national scare, maybe America will kind of look at itself again. I'm not one of those people that believe that the government can help us. I do believe that there is a place for the government. I feel that the government has its specific roles and duties, but I feel like in something like this, the American government is just not equipped. It's impossible. We owe more than we create as far as national debt goes. And most of our debt is honestly things that the government has made up. I see all the time on social media now that they're talking about giving every working adult who makes under, $90,000, talking about giving them $1,200, $1,000. I don't think that's a good idea. Yes, I understand it's for the intent of helping people. They're talking about giving loans to businesses to keep them from closing their businesses, to keep them from firing people, because trust me, a business closing harms more people than anything, because not only does the business owner lose out, the workers lose out, the customer misses out. But the customer is more resilient than the business owner. It's really eye-opening. This is but so much that the government can do. There has to be some sort of order, given, because we are seeing, it just seems like anytime we have a catastrophe, we're seeing lawlessness. We literally have old ladies fighting in grocery stores over toilet paper. Now I'm not asking for martial law, but come on, man. It's just toilet paper. Last time I checked, this is a respiratory virus, not a anal virus. You're not leaking from your orifices. It's like pneumonia and the flu, on steroids. But I don't know, like it's kind of like I understand the fear, and it's just, we all knew this was coming. We knew for months that this was coming. Media has been talking about it for months. And I had a discussion with a friend the other night. We were talking about the coronavirus, and he said something very interesting to me. He said that he believes that the coronavirus that there was an outbreak long before we knew about it, long before we saw it on the news. And that maybe people in America, people all over the world have already come in contact with the coronavirus. Now, I know people have been saying, we've already had the coronavirus, but I'm talking about this strain. I'm talking about this outbreak. The COVID-19, the Wuhan virus, don't want to, we'll talk about that. But his belief is that the virus had already gotten out long before the news even talked about it. He said that him and his wife were sick during the holidays, and his 2 young girls were sick. They had the flu. They went to the doctor. They knew they had the flu. Then right after they had the flu, one of his youngest, they became ill with some sort of ailment that they took her to the doctor, and they couldn't figure out what it was. The doctor just told them that it certainly wasn't the flu. She had a 100-something fever. Now, I'm not saying that it's the coronavirus, and he's not saying it, but he's saying maybe it got out, and because it got out and some people were getting sick, maybe before it blew up, now it's time. Now the media wanted to leak it. And to me, that makes complete sense. That makes 100% sense in my mind, because a lot of times, especially being a military veteran, some people know things months before it actually happens. Months before the news actually gets it, months before the general population gets it. He kind of made a point. Like, he said maybe that the best course of action would have been to have people get inoculated to it. And as they get inoculated, even though he was a little bit tougher than I'm going to be right now. He was like, maybe if people get inoculated, then people can beat it. But because people are freaking out, because people aren't even taking precautions, like we see the spring breakers, and now we're seeing spikes in positives, that maybe that would be the jump start to get over it quicker. And he was saying, when we knew about the coronavirus, about about what it was doing in China, because he believes that it was already here in America, we didn't know how to test for it. But now we're testing it, and people are getting positives and all this other stuff. And the more we're testing for it, the more we're finding it. So he believes that it's probably already here. It probably happened long before all this whole government shutdown. Well, even though the government's not shut down, but all this shelter in place, all this stuff. I think there's some merit to that. I'm not blaming the president. I'm not blaming government, but it makes sense. Like, how can you test for something that you don't know? Like, how can you monitor it? It's a virus. We have a lot of tourists. We have people coming in and out all the time from all over the world. And it seems to me that when I was watching the news, 1 minute it's in China. China took rapid action, by the way the news made it look, rapid action in doing shelter in places, sealing people in their apartments, and then somehow it spread to the Middle East. And then it spread to Italy and Europe and Canada. Now it's in America. And to me, the progression is too quick. I don't want to make conspiracy theories, but I'm just saying the natural order of progression. How can a virus that's in Wuhan, China, China, make its way to the Middle East, then make its way to Europe, and then make its way to America, and blow up in drastic proportions, racking up bodies, in a rapid fashion, in just a matter of a couple months? Something does not seem right. But I mean, who knows these things? I know I don't. I'm not an expert in science. I'm not an expert in chemistry. I'm not an expert in viruses. I'm not an expert in government, but I do understand a lot. I'm just going to tell you what my gut feels. My gut feels that something just isn't adding up. Not saying it's the government's fault, but I'm saying largely it's the media's fault. People are freaking out because the media. People are freaking out because of the opinion base. Now, just for full disclosure, like, I am an opinion podcaster. This is going to be a social commentary show, but I'm letting you know up front what it is. I'm letting you know what my opinions are, what my views are, what my understanding is. And I am fully comfortable with being wrong. If I'm wrong, leave me a message. If you know more information than I do, please let me know so that way I can correct myself. But this whole corona thing, the way people are acting, the way the news is acting, the way the news is attacking Trump, as if he had anything to do with it, like he's the president. He is responding just like everybody else. He is responding with what his advisors are saying. He is responding to what the specialists are saying. So it's not like it's all him. And another thing is that no one really understands this virus. No one understands completely what this virus is fully capable of. We're learning every day something new about it. So to me, I don't know. It just seems like in a country like America, first world nation, we should be grateful. We have electricity because of all the Green Act and all these people pushing green energy and various forms of renewable energy. You know, more and more states are leaning over towards hydro and specifically solar and wind. You know, we have renewable energy. We have Netflix. You can literally Netflix and chill your way out of this. You can Hulu and do your way out of this. But in some other countries, they're not so lucky. They don't have what we have. They don't have the comforts that we have. But still, they're making it through. In some way, we are complaining about being comfortable. People, day in, day out, social media, you know, even in my normal walks of life, people are complaining about being home. People are complaining about their children being out of school. And I get it. You know, kids need education. People need to have an income. People are complaining about actually spending time with their loved ones. That, to me, that's actually sad. You know, we've become such a materialistic me society that we don't know when to stop, slow down, and enjoy the time that we have, because luckily this isn't a deadly pandemic. Luckily, it's not a pandemic where people are dropping like flies. And let's even a lot of things don't make sense. You know, I live near the nation's capital, and one of the things that I'm seeing is they're talking about, they already shut schools down. You know, kids have been out of school almost 2 weeks. They're saying, you know, we're going to shut schools down. Kids, you know, we want you to stay at home. You know, only essential businesses are going to be open, like gas stations, banks, grocery stores. We're going to close a lot of non-essential businesses, you know, shopping malls, movie theaters, which my fiance was very upset about. But we're going to allow your kids to come to the schools and get meals. Now, on the surface, yes, that sounds like a great thing. That sounds like a noble gesture. You know, you got to make sure the kids eat. You know, you got to feed the babies. But if we're shutting down the schools because of corona, why are we inviting the kids to the schools to eat if we're shutting them down for corona? To me, that doesn't make sense. And I've heard people's arguments. They're like, you know, some kids just aren't fortunate to have food at home. They don't have food to eat. They don't have parents, you know, to make food for them. Again, I believe we're relying too much on the government. Like, I'm part of an organization where we donate goods, you know, all the time. You know, we donate a lot of things to help people in need in our local area. Maybe the answer isn't government. Maybe the answer is your neighbor. Maybe maybe this is a time where we get to know our neighbor again. You know, maybe this is the time where we do more for others than we are to receive from others. Maybe the answer is maybe not sending your kid to this public school, but visit a food bank. Grocery stores are still open. You can go to a food bank. You can go to places and get services. There are tons of people out there that are doing They're doing great things. I have a friend who owns a distillery. He literally made his own hand sanitizer. If you guys get a chance, please check out Blue Dyer. Now, Blue Dyer is not sponsoring this podcast, but they are a very close friend of mine, and I love it. I love their product. I love the atmosphere. I love the people. And to me, I think that's one of the greatest things about that's coming out of this whole pandemic. You know, we have business owners like Blue Dyer that was a distillery. He's a distillery and a bar, but now he's even ventured into making hand sanitizer because the need right now is hand sanitizer. And that's a great thing, you know, to me, for businesses to be able to move and adjust and change, you know, their direction to meet a need. And I'm gonna take off my community service hat and I'm gonna put on my political hat right now. For someone like Bernie Sanders, for someone like AOC, for any politician that's bashing business owners, the corporate billionaires and trillionaires, yada, 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 that's a slap in the face to all of us. You're attacking our livelihood. People, the entrepreneur, the business owner, the people who make the things that we need, the things that we want, the things that make this whole society move. If it wasn't for the owners of Blue Dyer meeting a need, they would have to close their business because people just, I mean, yeah, people are still going to buy alcohol. And luckily he has a food truck, which is super delicious. But this whole thing and all these regulations, all these mandatory shutdowns will cripple his business. But because there's a need and because a business owner's first job is to fulfill a need, he can provide a need for his customers, which is hand sanitizer right now. And he can still employ his employees. So that's something that should account for something. Now, I'm not saying like he's a billionaire or anything, but these are the people who make our economy move. All the time I hear about these socialist leaning politicians and they're bashing millionaires. They're bashing billionaires. They're talking about how you don't deserve it and the little guy, people are going to die. Well, people are actually dying, but we have the business owner doing what they can. I saw a video the other day, and I'm going to see if I can track it down so I can put it in the show notes. But I saw a video the other day of 3D printer designers who are printing face masks for people. Only in a place like America, only in a first world nation where we have these luxuries of computers, we have these luxuries of 3D printers, you know, we have such a consumer-based economy that you can do something like that. You know, you can't do that. And there's no shade to any third world country or a struggling nation, but only in a society that is a capitalist nation can you do that. You cannot do that in a socialist nation. You just can't. You're not going to have the desire to. You're not going to have the means to, because all the time, all we hear is, how dare you have more than someone else? Now, we're going to use Blue Dyer again. Now, Blue Dyer, if they stuck to their same business plan, if they're just going to stick to selling alcohol, of course, they will make money regardless. People love alcohol. People like drinking. I like drinking, and I like their rum, and I like their whiskey. But that's not the need right now. The need right now is hand sanitizer because people want to feel safe. People want to be able to sanitize their hands. So then the business owner creates a need. I mean, there's already a need that's already there. The business owner is meeting that need. Now, should he give it away? I mean, obviously he could. You know, he can, out of the kindness of his heart, he can give it all away. But then what about the materials that he needs to make it? What about paying his employees? So we're so quick to demonize the rich, the 1%, that we're cutting off our nose to spite our face because, like, there's always something. You know, I hear AOC talking about, and not to get on Barack Obama, but talking about, you didn't build that. Well, so what? Neither did you, but you're benefiting. We're living in a society where one hand washes the other. I can be a billionaire right now, and because because there's a need, I'm providing something to fulfill your need, and in turn, you're giving me money. And that money, I can pay my employees. I can buy the materials to keep providing your needs. And on top of that, I'm going to take care of myself because I'm human. I still need food. I still need a roof over my head. I still have a family I got to provide for. So, and also I'm taking the risk. Business owners are risk takers. And with high risk comes high reward. Just so happens, if you do a good job, you get the reward, because without the business owner, or there is no business. Now, of course, CEOs change hands all the time, and it's, employees make the business move, but employees aren't furthering the machine. They're just maintaining the machine, and I'm an employee, and with this podcast and my other ventures, I am a business owner. I'm taking losses all the time. As an employee, when I take a loss, I still have another source of income. So in this time of Corona, this is like a perfect gold mine. We could literally be in a new golden age. There's always darkness before the dawn. So, I mean, we can see another wave like we did during the Obama era, where like people were getting beat over the head with regulations. Things were tough. We were going through a recession, but during that recession, we had so many people coming out making YouTube videos, podcasts, and people were getting rich. Companies were made because of the recession, because people were just at home and they had an idea and people will consume it. Companies will give money to advertise on your stuff. Again, it's a medium of exchange. People like YouTube, people like things, and as a business owner, I'm going to go where the people are. If I'm Germ-X hand sanitizer and there's a kid on making Twitch videos on Xbox, and I'm probably going to put my Germ-X stuff there, because the adults like video games, kids like video games. I'm going to try and get my stuff out the way that I can. So, and in turn, by me wanting to advertise on your platform, you're making money off of my advertisement. I'm making money off of your viewers. It's a symbiotic relationship. So this whole Corona thing could be the start of a new age. We are seeing right now, with a lot of public schools closing, that maybe these brick and mortar schools are not as necessary as we once thought. We have kids that are continuing their education online. Now, in 2020, there's no reason why we need all these schools popping up left and right, one block away from the other. And there's no point for that. There's no reason why state and federal government should be demanding more money for something that just isn't working. More and more we're having schools being started online, private schools, homeschools. Literally, people are homeschooling their kids right now. Dr. Duke Pesta, he has his own show. I mean, he has his own school online. And from everything that I see, like it has a really good rubric. It has a really good syllabus for their students where they can go from kindergarten all the way up to 12th grade, and it's college credited. I believe it's college credited. I could be wrong. But in some ways, we're holding on to the past. And sometimes holding on to the past can be good. We don't want to change too rapidly. But eventually, we do need to change with the times. And our time is becoming more and more technologically based. Every day, you literally have a quantum computer in your pocket. I work full time. I work too much if you let my fiance tell the story. But I go to school. I'm continuing my education. Because I work so much, I can't go to a brick and mortar school. I have to go online because my hours just won't allow it. With my logic, I have to put food on the table. I have to keep the lights going. So, but I have to further my education to be able to provide more for my family. But that's where the dilemma comes in. But because we're in a technological age, I'm able to go to school online. I'm able to complete my master's online. I'm able to continue my education online. So if I can get a master's degree online and still maintain my job, my 9 to 5, if I can do that, why are we still sending our kids to school? And more we're seeing that families are suffering. Maybe as a nation, we need to slow down. Like Trump said, make America great again. Well, how about we make families great again? How about we bring families back together? Why don't we slow down for a little bit? Why don't we focus on raising our kids instead of having TV raise our kids? How about we take the time and actually spend time with our families? Now, you still got to work, but why don't we utilize this technology for the noble good versus cat videos or twerking videos? But what do you guys think? Do you guys think that maybe that this coronavirus could be, a new golden age? Do you think that we are just going to be at a catastrophic explosion where we're going to be dumped into Mad Max territory, where some of us are going to have to act like Snake Plissken and escape from New York? Like, what do you guys think? If you guys like this podcast, if you guys are connecting with it, please, continue with it. Please share it with everyone. You guys can find me on Facebook, YouTube eventually, and Instagram. I'll keep putting out information. I'm trying to get some discussions up, and I'm also going to I'm trying to make some merch, make some, have a shop going, and I'll probably put out some memes. So if you guys like this, please share it, and I will see you guys later for the next discussion.
I want everybody to dance. I'm just like I tell you. And when I say hold yourself, I want all of you to get ready to stop.